Hey, what's up guys? Katy Chang here and welcome to yet another video diary where I pretty much sum up my week's challenges and epiphanies and hone in on the spiritual lessons centered around manifestation, law of attraction, and abundance. In this week's video diary, I'm going to discuss negative triggers. So I had a lot of weird stuff happen within just a 6-day span. I received a very expensive medical bill from a breast biopsy done back in February 26, 2021. And out of nowhere, I received a year later a bill from a visit that I had with the urgent care back in March 2020. On top of all these strange medical bills that were definitely challenging my money scarcity issues, I had the fun experience on Saturday getting hit by another car. I was totally minding my own business, pumping my gas on a Saturday morning, and this BMW SUV did not see my car and hit the front fender. Now, in all these incidents, I totally wanted to get triggered. I totally wanted to go into victim mode. I had a ton of limiting beliefs and stories that I wanted to tell myself. And in those moments, I had just a momentary aha, right? Where I could have challenged myself, right? To kind of just change the patterns that I used to have, which are always negativity and anger. I have a lot of anger issues. And so I got to choose to change the narrative. Now, that's way easier said than done, but I wanted to share with you the 3 ways that I was able to change the narrative, because by being a little bit more conscious and making that decision to not step into these negative triggers and these old habits of anger and, victimhood, right? I was able to actually manifest great things out of it, and I would just tell you, I actually manifested, oddly, more money. So I ended up manifesting $6,000 for a total of $31,000 in just 2 months. If you haven't seen my previous video on how I manifested $25,000 in 3 hours, I will link it in the description below, as well as in the end card. But yeah, for a total of $31,000 in 2 months, that's quick manifestation. I also luckily manifested that the car accident was not too bad. My car dealership was able to buff out most of the scratches, and unless you go really, really super close with a magnifying glass, you really can't see any damage. So I decided to be the bigger person and drop the claim. And yeah, everything just turned out beautifully, and I really attribute it to just staying positive, keeping my vibration high. So as I stated, I was going to give you guys 3 quick tips on how I was able to keep my vibration, at least if not high, in a neutral, calm state. So first and foremost, breathe. Our knee-jerk reaction is to have a reaction, right? Usually we say something that we end up really regretting in the moment. And so I want you to take a nice deep breath. And sometimes it might require more than 1 deep breath. I sometimes need 3 or 5. There's really no rule on how many long breaths you should take. Now, obviously, if the person is in front of you, you're probably going to be like, Katy, how do I do deep breathing? You can still breathe, right? You could hold it in your heart, hold space of love and peace, right? And just do a nice breath in through your nose, and out through your nose. And even as you do that, right, what happens when you take a nice, long, conscious inhale and exhale is you begin to not only give yourself that moment to pause and not say something that you will regret, but you'll also notice your body shifts, right? The energy shifts, your heart rate decreases, right? It goes from anxiety and anger to just a little bit slower calm, slower heart rate, and that would lower your blood pressure, and then it'll give you the capability to speak in a better light, right? You're in a better energy than something that is just triggered, angry, I just want to say something, I just want to punch this person, which, as we know, is never going to help us solve the issue, right? It's never going to resolve anything. It's only probably going to light more fuel to the fire. So I invite you to consciously take nice deep breaths next time you're feeling triggered and give yourself that pause. Okay, however many breaths you need, you can do it through your nose or even through your mouth. And you can just begin to feel like you just settle into place, into a different sort of atmosphere, right? And then from there, what I would invite is step number 2. A lot of the times when we're triggered, we're actually not being mindful. What do I mean by that? We're not living in the present. We're triggered because of a past experience, and we have built a belief on that past experience, and anything that kind of resembles that past experience, it triggers us, right? So I want you to be very conscious. Are you really living in the present moment? Are you being mindful? Or is this something that is very similar to your past? Okay, and that segues into number 3, our perspective. Our beliefs shifts our perspective, and our perspective is what causes us to be triggered, right? So look at your beliefs, right? Let's just say, and I'll give you a very key example. You guys are probably going to be like, Katy, that is so stupid. But at that time, it was a belief, and it really triggered me. So I had a very bad relationship in 2018 with this guy named Chris, and it left me very pissed off. It left me feeling abandoned. I was grieving, and I just hated that guy. Let's just be honest, I hated that guy. And for a very long time, any man by the name of Chris gave me a visceral reaction. Like, I would hate that person. I would avoid them, and I would be easily triggered because of this past Chris, right? I know you guys are probably thinking that's so stupid. But I would tell you, I literally avoided all guys named Chris because it would just make me so angry, right? And then that's the thing about being conscious, right? Like what are some of the beliefs that we hold on to that clearly don't serve us and that are causing us to have these triggers that also do not serve us in the present moment and then into our future, right? So I want you to see, okay, next time you're feeling triggered, is this a past old belief? And then ask yourself, is this always true? I know a part of you is gonna say yes, especially if you had a bad experience, you're like, all Chris's suck. I hate all guys named Chris. They all suck, right? They're all just like him, right? Well, obviously that we know is not true. And probably if you're watching this and your name is Chris, you're probably like, hey, I'm a nice guy. Right? Like, clearly it is not true, but it's something that I created for myself, right? Because I had this horrible traumatic experience. At least that's what I told myself at the time. That was my narrative and my perspective, and then it just caused me to be triggered every time I met a Chris, or every time a guy by the name of Chris wanted to date me. I was like, nope, no Chris's, nope. So next time you're feeling triggered, ask yourself, are you really being present? Are you having this limiting belief that just no longer serves you? And is it really true? And then ask yourself, can I shift and change the narrative? Okay. I mean, the good thing is we're the authors to our own life story, so we can always change the narrative. It's going to take time. Okay, it's not going to change overnight. But as long as you're a little bit more conscious about your limiting beliefs and the narrative and the perspective that you created around it, you're able to shift it. And so next time I invite you, if you're ever feeling triggered by a person or by maybe a letter, or in that case, a medical bill. I had also really weird limiting beliefs about how like the healthcare system in America is broken and all these hospitals like price gouge us. So I definitely got a little triggered as well as seeing those bills. But you know, I got to shift the narrative, right? I got to take a nice deep breath, like I said, right? Shift into a higher state of consciousness, a better vibration, because I'm going to tell you, low vibrations, whenever you're triggered, are not a healthy place to make a decision. We want to make good decisions, right? And the only way we can make good decisions are when we're at a higher level of consciousness and a higher vibration. Okay, we want to be making good decisions from here, not from here, right? It just makes sense. So take a deep breath, ask if you're being mindful, if you're being in the present, and if you acknowledge that you're being triggered because you're not being present and it's from a past belief, ask yourself, is this past belief really true all the time? The answer is most likely no. And then you get to consciously make a decision that I get to be the author of my own story and change the narrative. And I always invite you to choose love versus fear. Choose something that is light versus heavy. Because once again, we can't create from something that is low vibration, that is heavy, that is something that is based off fear, anxiety, hatred, anger. That's not what we want to create from. Okay? So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please leave me a comment below. And while you're there, you might as well hit the subscribe button as well as that notification bell so that you don't miss out on new videos, which I release every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.